Sami, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. I think I'm not reasonably connected on social network, but myself, I was born in 1948. Then it has something for us, you know. The year of 48 is very important for every Jews, I think. And this was in Egypt. And then I had all my childhood during this, and I can remember also the wartime in the Suez Canal crisis in 1956, and then we left the country definitely on January 62. So I have fresh in my memories everything that happened since then. And how did I join such a good friend and a very nice gentleman, Mr. Cohen? It's because of the social network. You know, sometimes they invited me to say, "Hey, Sami, tell us a story" or something like that. But I wasn't very comfortable about it. You know, I didn't want to play with the things regarding the past because it was some kind of difficult. Then definitely I accepted, and I wrote some few lines about my experience during the war and during the blackout and during all the stuff like this. And I said, okay, you are good at writing, so we can proceed. Then that was in October 2020. And then we decided, all of us, I mean, we had a small group, and then we decided to open a website called judezoegypt.org. That means Jews from Egypt, not Egyptian Jews. That makes a very important difference because we were not accepted as Egyptian citizens. And this is the point that it is very important about the things. And then we decided to open this website page, which is about, about people. It's not about historical facts. Historical facts is not important. So we decided to make an interview. We interviewed more than 20 people, all of them who left from Egypt. Either they lived in Egypt and then they had to travel and to leave the country, or they were related. Sometimes they could be son or grandchildren of those exiled. But most of them, I say more than 90%, they already had an experience in Egypt. Some of them during their childhood, most of them, I say, and some other ones, like myself, I was 12 when we left Egypt. So I have everything fresh in my memory. So I can put this in words and exchange experience with similar situation. But there is something very important, because until then, we had testimonies from people who left Egypt in 1956 and so on, 56, 57, 58, and then stop a little bit. Until last year, I met a gentleman from Boston. His name is Dr. Mangoubi, and I've been reading about his testimonies and some publication on the Jerusalem Post, on New York Times, and so on. And then we had a phone contact. He said, Sami, I have a different experience because I've been in Egypt during the 6-day war. I said, that's really something, because we never had any kind of testimony of anybody at all from Egypt who was there, still there in Egypt during the 6-day war. Then, in my understanding, what happened during the 6-day war? I can remember I was in Brazil, I was absolutely frightened. I was almost crazy. I think I was 17 years old or something like that, when we heard on TV and on the papers that it's going to be a conflict between a lot of, let's say, Arabic origin countries, not only Egypt, with Israel. We said, my good Lord, it's going to be the end once again. That's impossible. And then it took few days only, and then we discovered that it was exactly the opposite. So when I met Dr. Mangoubi, he told me that he was there. Then they were persecuted because it was a very complicated situation for them, exactly the opposite, 180 degrees compared to my satisfaction when I understood that this situation has passed and we could say, okay, we are saved once again thanks to the Israeli army and all the strategic stuff that put Israel on the top. And then it was a terrible defeat for the Egyptian. It was a shame. It was catastrophic. And I understood by Dr. Mangoubi, that was only a few months ago, that Egyptian citizen was taken just like prisoners of war. I said, I never heard about that. So we made a lot of recordings, almost 4 hours recording. Then it was a personal testimony, but with historical reference. Then in the whole website, we're talking about people. If some guy tell me, you know, when I came to Brazil, it was raining, and it was not. Or when I came to Brazil, it was sunshine, and it was not. It doesn't matter at all. It depends on how they do feel. We are talking about sentiments, about people. We are not pretending to make historical truth in that project called judezoegito.org until Dr. Mangoubi came to the scene and asked me, should we make a recording? I said, yes. Normally, each person that we are recording will give us their memory about the exile and about the situation in Egypt and how they succeed. It's short videos, you know, videos from, let's say, after editing, around 15 minutes each. But it took me more than 4 hours to discuss with Dr. Mangoubi. He said, why? I have a good reason for this. And then we divided those recordings in 5 episodes. And every episode has a single name. I can send you by email the link to have the direct access to this. And then during this very important opportunity, I think that there is a relation, you know, between, I don't want to make myself very long, but I'm doing it already. I'm sorry about it. But, you know, I think things happened since 1952 when there was a coup d'etat in Egypt and some nationalists took over the control of the country, but not leaving this possibility to the Islamic Brotherhood. If we had, instead of Muhammad Naguib and Gamal Abdel Nasser, we had instead some people of the Islamic Brotherhood, maybe I couldn't be here to talk to you, you know, because they are completely opposite to any situation regarding Jews anywhere in the world. That's the way they think, you know. I don't want to get through this and insist about it, but I think that in 1952, it was not catastrophic for the Jews in Egypt. They lost some rights, they lost a lot of things, and the persecution was more or less soft until the Suez crisis, and definitely until the 6-day war. Then they closed the door and everything was completely F up, if you accept such vulgarity. And then everything was over, and we forget about any kind of development of Jewish people in Egypt. Then we have to forget it. But at the same time, you have to understand that the actual situation is rather positive. Egypt made peace with Israel, and the actual, geopolitical situation is more for peace rather than for war. But we have to definitely understand that there will be no more Jews like it used to be in the past, until the most complicated situation that you can testify by yourself on listening the testimonies of Dr. Mangoubi, that you can find it on this very same website called judezoegito.org. Then to finalize, sorry,
no, go ahead.
No, I mean to finalize, because it's only based on 2 extremities. The real one and the most important for us is to have the testimonies of people. It's only people talking about their experience and final stop, nothing more interesting. And I don't ask to anybody to give me good historical references. Either they say the truth or not, it doesn't matter. It's exactly what they feel in their heart. And the other situation came with Dr. Mangoubi. He said, Sami, hold on, wait a second. I was there and I suffered, and my brother suffered about this because we were persecuted just for being Jews. And they considered ourselves as prisoners of war, and this is not true. And we want the truth to be known with everybody of our community. And I stop here.